So, pyari sat sri akal and a warm welcome after that short commercial break. This is myself, RJ Raman, every Sundays 2 to 4 on the RJ Raman Show on Akash Radio 1323 AM Leeds. And those who are tuned in worldwide, listening to us on the TuneIn app as Akash Radio Leeds on www.akashradioleeds.co.uk. So, back again after that break. So, like every Sundays, right, the whole speciality of this show is that we're always in conversation with some form of artist, producer, songwriter, or some form of film actor from the Punjabi film industry. But today I brought a slight little twist, right? Because last Sunday I had a boxer. Today I've got a bodybuilder, right? So it's an interesting show going to be because I've got a bodybuilder, right, who's been around for many, many years, and also knowing that he's been in the music scene for many years as well. I'm talking about the man himself, Malkit Chana, known as Fateh Fitness. I mean, interesting guy. I mean, it's very interesting to see a Sardar, you know, as a bodybuilder on a national level, on a British level. I mean, that's just iconic, right? And he's been featured recently on an upcoming song, which is set to release very, very soon, titled as Seng Fasseh. It was produced by Shin GC, also known as Shin Hayer, with the vocals by Surjit Sagar, Charanjit Channi, and not to be forgotten, the late legendary Kaka Bhaniawala, man. I mean, this is just a fantastic project. I mean, it's all been shot, I presume, in Punjab. And we're going to be talking to Malkit Chana about his experience about working alongside in this project, and also about his body building fitness as well. So we're going to showcase basically his talent and his you know, it's a lot to talk about, right? Because I'd rather not give away a lot of things and just talk to the person himself live and direct on the show today. So a warm welcome on the show. Pyari sat sri akal on the show, Malkit. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Doing very well.
Fantastic. So, Malkit Chana to Fateh Fitness. I mean, tell us a bit about the bodybuilding life now. I mean, how's the journey been so far?
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, the journey so far in the past couple of years has been fantastic. You know, I started actually competing in 2014.
Wow.
And so, to put it into context, when in 2014, I was 37. And I got my six-pack at 37 actually, and I went to compete at 37. I never had a six-pack before that. You can probably look at some of my old Facebook postings where I tried to show the journey, and you'll see where I started training in 2012. And I was pretty determined to get on stage, to be honest, and I set myself a target 2 years to get myself stage ready from pretty much nothing. To be honest, there was no way that you'd look at my image and say this is someone who will be a bodybuilder. And since then, I've really probably excelled in getting my body into shape. Obviously, there's always room for improvement, but I competed in 2014 and got an invite to the British finals.
Oh, wow.
I competed in 2015 and I got an invite again. And then I competed in 2017. 2016 was some family issues, and they take precedence. But I came back in 2017 and qualified again for the British finals, and then came back now in July this year. I qualified for 2 categories in the British finals, but a little bit of a detour from actually getting to the finals this time, because I went to India to do some project work on some music.
Yeah.
So but yeah, the journey for my, now I'm touching mid 40s, and I've done very well. Next year is sort of bigger and better. I'm trying to get myself ready to compete in 4 competitions and stuff like that. So the journey's not going to end for me. There's plenty of energy and focus in me to make it happen, but also in the mix now I'm trying to bring myself back into music. I used to do that probably put that on hold over 10 years ago. And now I've just got a taste for it, so let's see if the two work together.
Fantastic. I mean, talking about the bodybuilding, I mean, like, what actually got you into bodybuilding? I mean, tell us, like, what motivated you, what inspired you?
Right, there was a couple of motivations. Some not so good and some good. But I used to be a IT consultant, and I still am actually. But used to work in London for a consultancy firm. And the lifestyle of a consultancy was you go to your client site and then afterwards you'll go out and you'll socialise. So the London lifestyle was all about going to social events after work and drinking. So that was one aspect for it, where I was getting into this habit of drinking. And also my set wasn't really good, you know. It was deteriorating. I didn't feel confident. I didn't look very, very nice either. And you know, then I was still in touch with a few of my old Hypnotize mates, and actually one of the biggest triggers where they used to laugh because I have gynecomastia. I used to have gynecomastia, which was the men's breast problem, where you hold too much fat and you look like a bit of a woman. And they used to make fun of me a lot. So actually the trigger point then was actually I said, watch, I'm gonna start training, I'm gonna be on stage, and they all laughed. And since that time it was just a complete change. I set myself, I changed my diet, and you know, I hit the gym regularly. I put social events on hold. Even when I used to go weddings and functions, I'd pack my food. People thought it was a bit weird, you know, they'll all be having their lamb curry and starters, and I'll be pulling out my tubs of turkey and broccoli. And, you know, so, but it had to be done, and, you know, some things you need to sacrifice. But the results show for themselves. Like I said, I competed numerous times now, and I've still got a lot of energy for it. I've been in the UK Beef magazine as well, and you know, the profile of, especially with one of the main things when I actually started bodybuilding, my first competition actually was I tried to get on. I didn't know how they're going to react to someone wearing their bug on stage.
Right.
So yeah, so what I did, I got changed and I got myself prepped, and then when I went to weigh in the morning and register, I went wearing a do-rag or a patka. And then after they'd done all of that, then I tied my bug. And I went on stage because I didn't want them to turn me away. But it was a big thing for me to go on stage with my bug. I didn't want to do it otherwise. There's no way I would ever, be quite honest, ever go to stage.
It's actually something to be proud about as well, because it's a self-identity.
It is. There's a lot of things that come with it. You know, you get the people who love it and you get the haters as well. I've heard people say to me, "Oh, look at you trying to use Sikh or use your bug to become famous." It's not about that. You know, I worked on the body, but I wasn't going to change my identity because the bug came first. I've always worn a bug from day one. And, you know, so there was a lot of haters out there, but there was also a lot of supporters. And believe it or not, you might find this quite a thing, but the majority of the supporters that I had were Amritdhari. And they said, "Oh, look, you look fantastic," and blah blah blah. And then people who hated me, they were the ones that, you know, a bit like me, you know, I call myself a Kenyan style Singh, but you know, where you know you mun your a bit, but you know you still Sikh, and a majority of the bad or the negativity was coming from that side, where saying, "Oh, you're using your term to become famous," and I thought it would be the other way around. So it was completely the opposite. So, you know, they've, you know, in saying that, most of my motivation comes from people who, Amritdhari Singhs who I've met along my journey, who are just completely positive in their nature about, you know, having a Singh representing as a bodybuilder, and, you know, looks the part and looks like, you know, they're standing their ground. You know, a lot of people actually, when they see me, think I'm a bit arrogant, but you know, it's far from the case where I'm arrogant, because one of the things which they say is you should be humble, and people mistake being humble for people who hold their head up high or walk with a stance or have, you know, that's not being humble. That's not being humble. That's just the person's presence. You can still be humble and still hold your head high. And I've tried to instill that into a lot of people I meet, saying, you know what, being humble doesn't mean that you have to soften your voice, you know, and walk with your head down and look a bit timid. So a lot of things have come out this journey of bodybuilding, positive in terms of confidence, personality, and some negativity. In fact, some bad things come out of bodybuilding as well, where, you know, you seem to attract attention when you go to clubs and bars, or you go to social events, and you get the people who will come up to you and have a great conversation about how you look great, and then you get the other people who want to behave in this gangster mentality that actually let me go and pick a fight. The guy thinks it's a bit wide, but these things, they're just, I think, normal behaviour, and for people who see someone who's. I remember way back in the days, actually, when I first started, I went out and someone said you should cover up your arms. Then it's not good. Nazar lag jani hai. And in my head, I was thinking, yeah, that's you guys got a good point, but I don't believe in nazar. It's I never have, never. I want to say I never will, but you know what? It's me. I go out, I represent, I worked hard for it. I'm not afraid to show it. In fact, one of the fantastic things that happened for me is I go to places like holiday, Cyprus or Egypt or other places like that, and I can go on the beach, I'll take my top off and I'll have my pug on and I'll walk around.
Wow.
And people will like say, wow, and the first thing they'll do, they won't be frightened because I wear a bag or that thing. They'll come and talk to me, they'll talk about the body, and then they'll move on to the subject of, oh, what's that thing you wear? Why do you wear a bag? And blah, blah, blah. So you know what? I don't know. Maybe it's a bad thing or a good thing, but, it's allowed me to open up the doorway. And I do feel that actually a lot of my success in bodybuilding is related to me wearing a pug.
I mean, that kind of is a point where, you factor that you're kind of building the awareness of your identity at the same time, where you're in the bodybuilding stuff, but you're also keeping that, the identity of yours as a Sikh, as being a Sikh and wearing a pug as well, and, standing. I mean, it's like Sawa Lakh Che Ek Banda, when you see a Sardar, it's massive. It's a proud thing to be, to be about.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they both sort of feed each other, don't they? Really, because I think as a bodybuilder, I want to go and I want everyone to know my heritage and know where we came from, and where we're known as a warrior race and we're known as protectors and stuff like that. Yeah. Equally, when I got into bodybuilding, when I go to the gym, I don't know, maybe I have a 10% or 20% advantage over other people, because when I'm training and I'm thinking, look, this is where our culture came from, and this is our history. I can't fail at this. I was born to do this, so I already have this backing behind me, which is, I have a community of people who are known to be, fighters and warriors, and are also known to be humble and also known to stand their ground, and we sadly, so be it, we do stand out like a sore thumb. Some places I go to, I stand out like a sore thumb, but in my head, that thing where I stand out is actually a positive for me and not a negative.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, fantastic. I mean, Malkit, talking about, your body fitness, we've seen that. I mean, now coming to a very interesting project. I mean, you're featured in a new track what's coming out, Seng Fasseh, alongside Shin Hayer. So, tell us about how you got involved in this track.
Oh, wow. So, me and Shin, we go way back in time. So this was like Punjab radio days. Probably 15 years ago. And back then, Shin had some projects on the go, and he was a very enthusiastic music producer. Much so that he would not go and buy vocals and just lay down music for them. He'd be in the studio and he'll be telling the singer that this is how I want to sing it, and he'll record it, and then he'll change the way the person's singing it. So he wanted things his way.
Wow.
And if you remember back in the days, he actually produced Amar Roshi's first album, which was a massive hit. And I featured on some of his tracks actually as a rapper back then, because that was known for, I didn't have the voice for singing.
Wow.
And just like I don't have the face for radio, but that in itself. So me and Shin, then we started Punjab Radio Roadshow, and then I used to run a lot of clubs in London. So my music history goes back way in time when there was Bagley.
You have been connected to Bhangra music for a while now.
Always, for most of my life actually. So I started DJing when I was 17 years old, and then I started running nightclubs. Then I started into depression. Then I done some radio presenting, and I've always been in and out of it, dipping my finger in and out of it. But that last project when we done with Shin said, I want to come back, and there's a reason why he took a break. But he'll explain when you speak to him. But that break that he had was a bit disheartening for me, because he had some fantastic skills, and he was one of the very few people I knew who really put a lot of energy into actually getting songs written and getting people to sing them how he wanted them to sound, as opposed to buying ready-made vocals and just laying music on top of them. So anyway, quite a lot of time passed actually, and then just before 34th was the last song he released. Most recently, he contacted me, and I still remember it quite clearly. We met in London, and we met in a subway after work. We started talking about he wanted to get back into music, and we both said, let's do something.
Yeah.
So anyway, time went past, and we hadn't contacted each other, and then he done his project on 34th. And then he called me up, and he said, look, I want to do this project, and I've already done something. We spoke ages ago, but I never got involved, in the first one. So I felt a bit gutted because, I didn't make the move to try and make this happen. So anyway, when this next project came along, Seng Fasseh, we said, okay, let's make it happen. And he played the track and what he was working on, and I thought that's a fantastic track.
Yeah.
Then we had a bit of a conversation about, he came down to Hayes, all the way from Gravesend actually to meet us. So, it's not far, it's not a near, it's an hour and a half journey. And he came and we had a conversation about thing. And I said, one of the things I'm looking for and the gap in the market, which I can see, or probably not even a gap in the market, something which is missing for me, is where you get meaningful videos with tracks, And I go, I want to do the project with him, but it has to be focused on a mini movie which tells the story, and everyone's going to walk away and they're going to understand the song, and they're going to understand what the song vibe was about, and they're going to come away with some emotions, an emotional attachment. And anyway, next minute, Shin, he's like, he goes, let's find someone then to shoot the video. So we started looking around, and then he touched base with a couple of his contacts. Deepa Rai, I don't know if you heard.
Oh, yes, Deepa Rai, yes.
Yeah, so he was fantastic. So, all of a sudden we start talking about this Deepa Rai person. And I said, let's meet then. And Deepa lives in Newcastle and said, I'm coming down and I want to come and see you lot.
Wow.
So we sat in a hotel room, not hotel room, in the lobby, and Deepa turned up, and we started talking about the concepts and what we wanted to do. And within a couple of hours, we were talking about planning dates to go to India. So fast it was that it was like, there was no thinking about, I'm going to book time off work, I'm going to blah, blah, blah. It was just literally, can you come out next week? We need to film now, otherwise the weather's going to change and blah, blah. And I was sitting there and I was thinking, you know what? Every time I've done something, the only reason why it hasn't made it, or everyone we're thinking about doing something, the only reason why we've never done it is because we spent too much time thinking about it.
Yeah.
And so instantly I just said, okay, let's do it. Tell me tomorrow what date you want to fly out, and then I'll book my flights. Shin said the same. And I don't know, it was literally overnight we had booked our flights, and they wanted me to come out in a week, and then I had to negotiate with them because when it comes down to bodybuilding or prepping your body, it takes a bit of time. So we're looking at three weeks to my normal is like when I get ready for competition is I do something in 6 weeks. And they were talking about coming out in a week, and I said I had to negotiate and said, look, I can't come out in a week because I've got to do all this effort at the gym and make sure I get ready to play the part. And then I just said, give me 3 weeks and a little bit more negotiating. I don't think anyone was listening because they just wanted it to happen. I think we got down to about 2.5 weeks gap between flying out to India. And next minute, I'm at the gym, completely changed my diet back to what I do for when I'm getting ready for a competition.
Wow.
Training like 2 hours a day, 1 hour cardio a day, keeping a close eye on what the results look like, because this is like 2.5 weeks, which is really, really difficult actually to get my body in condition where I'm happy to be on camera.
Yeah.
And it was a complete and utter change from having 6 weeks, and there was no turning back because we had booked our flight. So it's either get to wherever you need to be, and you have 2.5 weeks. Next minute on a plane on a Thursday night. Then I'm back on a Monday morning. So I flew out just for actually 2 days of shooting we done, and the rest was all travelling.
Right.
But I left here on a Thursday evening, 9:30, and then I ended up on set in Punjab. We went out to Himachal Pradesh, and we hit the shooting location on India time Saturday morning at 2 a.m. and we were up at 5 to get ready to start shooting.
Wow.
And then literally the only sleep I had was a power naps. So, that was what kept me going. And it was so energetic. I didn't really miss the sleep, if that makes sense. It's like thing. And we even got the chance actually, because I said one of the things, if I'm going to come to India, and last time I went to India was actually before this shoot was 2 months before, and that was after 20 years. And I was thinking, I don't know when the next chance I'm going to get to India. It's probably going to be another 20 years. And all of a sudden, a month later, I'm heading back to Punjab. And I vowed that every time if I go to Punjab, I'm always going to go to Amritsar and go to Amritsar. And so I said, whatever happens between the filming, however I get there and get back, you have to take me to do darshan.
Wow.
And I think on the way back in the morning, on the Monday morning before I got on my flight, we didn't sleep all night. We were looking at footage and stuff like that. And I just said, look, and then we left 2 o'clock in the morning, done darshan, and straight on the airplane back home and back to work the next day. But we're planning. See, even though, like I said, I wouldn't have. It was so energetic that I'd do it all again. And actually, we are planning to do it all again now, but we're going to do it all again maybe, I think we're looking at February time. So I have a little bit more prep time, and we're going to do another 3 songs. And they all got storylines, and they all have meaning to them. So, we're going to try and emotionally scar people with our music or our concepts. So they walk away with not just that was a great song and great music, but they go away, that was a great story, and it gives them a bit. And some of them are things we're working on are historical Punjabi stories, which we're trying to bring back to modern times, saying that these sort of people still exist. So it's going to be big. The journey's going to be big, and we're going to throw everything we've got at it. And at the same time, I need to make sure I keep myself ready to compete in the UK as well. So a lot of things going on, but it's a blessing.
Wow. Fabulous. Amazing. That itself, what you just told us there, that itself is almost like I'm watching a movie here. It's like something epical going on here. Like,
definitely. If you were there to just in the share moment and coming to India and experiencing what me and Shin had experienced.
Yeah.
We had a full-blown production team. We had concepts all written out, and there was the setting of the where we were shooting, the storyline, and the whole thing was just blew us away. Even from the days in 2004 when I was saying I want to change the concept of music videos. When we went to this and planned all of this, my expectations weren't as high as the things that they had achieved. We went, and I was just blown away by the professional. Deepa Rai and Suki and all the team that was there that put this thing together.
Wow.
The amount of effort they went into organising the locations and the props and the clothing, and even down to the making sure there was, because we were filming, it's really, really hot. We were out most of the time, and even the water was there for us when we needed it, and the refreshments. It was a completely different level. From over here when we used to shoot music videos back in 2004, we'd find one cameraman, and then we'll try and stick to one But when we were doing this, we were just moving from one place to another, to another, to another, and it was just like, I would say it was a clockwork because we had our challenges, but the amount of movement was absolutely incredible. And you'll see from the product. I mean, even the posters now, people are ranting and raving about the posters, and they can't wait to see what it all. Even I can't wait to see because I haven't seen.
The poster itself is just phenomenal. I mean, it makes you think, what is this track all about? You see you guys wearing, the Indian Army uniforms. It's like very rare to see that in a UK Bhangra production.
Yeah, and we made sure we did that as well. Even the next ones, we're going to make sure that we play the part, so it won't be almost making ourselves into actors is a way to describe it.
Wow.
But the intentions are to live the story. And when we went there, the concept we had in play, we had a few ideas we thought about there, but then we had some discussions. And Deepa actually, Deepa and Shin actually, me and Shin had a little conversation and we came up with some ideas, and then we presented them to Deepa, and Deepa actually said, "Nah, you don't want to do that." Yeah, and we go, okay. And then he goes, "You want to do this?" And then when he said that, we were like, skeptical, because when we think about our journey, so I've done music video production in this country, and I'm thinking about the things he's talking about going to be really difficult to pull off. I can't see how we're going to get the manpower or the right gear or the kit or the cameras or the locations or the people to do this concept which it's on about. Anyway, he goes, "Don't worry, you leave it all to me and I'll make it happen."
Wow.
And the confidence in Deepa's voice about, "You don't worry, I've got it all nailed. You just leave that to me, leave that to me, leave that to me." We just, I don't know, it just was a true sign of someone who just had full control over piecing together someone's vision. So we had a vision, but we didn't know how we were going to achieve it. So what we did, me and Shin, we actually started to try and cut our vision down, thinking that actually these things aren't achievable, as you do, because, we haven't got those big budgets of, £500,000 like people who go and film movies. And everything we were thinking about how we're going to reduce, Deepa just pulled it all back in and said, "No, we can do that, we can do that, we can do that, we can do that." And I was like, actually, when I went I got to a stage where Deepa was like so confident in the way he's speaking. I was thinking, we're going to go to India. How is he going to pull this off? You have this little fear factor. And it just happened. We turned up, and from the time I got picked up from the airport to the time I left, everything that was meant to happen to make this mini movie come to life was there. Everything. And hopefully, we've got a very strong team now, in our whole collective. So that's going to be taken forward to the next 3 videos, and we're going to just make them just as strong. And we got to one of the blessings as well. So we got Surjit Sagar on the team. We got the late Kaka Bhaniawala on the track as well, and we got Charanjit Channi, and they're all very big players. And the blessing was when we went out to India, we got to meet Arsh Bhaniawala, who's
I was going to come there. Mentioning all these free artists, banging artists. Mentioning Kaka Bhaniawala, massive contribution to UK's Bhangra music. I don't think there's any person out there who hasn't heard his songs and hasn't cherished his music. And mentioning Arsh Bhaniawala you got in the video. Tell us that experience to meet him. Working with him.
So Arsh is quite a young boy actually. Very beautiful at heart, and his talents actually are, like when you come to this country and you hear someone and say, "Look, can you lade ka bolli?" Yeah. And imagine you got a hall full of people and you just turn around and say, "Go on, bust a bully for me." Other people in the country, they'll be a bit afraid. They'll wait for people to quieten down. But Arsh, his voice projects so much that even people, if they weren't quiet, they'll go quiet when he starts singing.
Wow.
Yeah, and it could be anywhere. You could literally be anywhere, like with this guy. Even in the motorbike clip, right? We posted one on. Shin posted one of those. Yeah. And he'll just he just would burst into song like it's his second nature.
Wow.
His voice is incredible. His projection is incredible. His passion, actually, the way he sings, is really, really good as well. So there's a few things coming up from him which should surprise people, and we're trying to veer off. Like a lot of people, when they find an artist, they try to get them to sing. So especially his dad's material, and he can pull it off, and he does quite easy. But when we want to basically get him to be a little bit unique and some fresh material. But he was fantastic. So it's quite funny actually. So when we were coming from India, we were flying to the location, and then we got to Himachal. We were actually didn't realise how long it was going to take. So it took us about 4 hours to get there. And poor Bachara Arsh, he had already made his way to the hotel, which was right in the middle of the sticks in Himachal, because there's not much there. And so he is probably, really, he must have been very frightened, because he's thinking, oh, I haven't met these people before. All of a sudden they calling me to do some stuff, and now he's already at the location, and there's no one there to and no one there to greet him. So the Bajara's ringing the Deepa, but Deepa, and then he's talking how Deepa can't get. Then he's ringing Shin up and she's saying, don't worry, we're now 2 hours away. We're saying right? And we didn't realise we were 2 hours away. We actually thought we were only half an hour, but when you go through these Himachal country roads, a mile seems like it's 10 miles. And anyway, so he's like ringing up every half an hour, and then when we got there, I think he got a bit of peace, and they were all half asleep. They were all completely conked out, and so we only got to see the side of him the next day when everyone woke up and we were getting ready to go on set. And so we got a bit excited, and then we got him to sing some songs, and he was saying, and even when we singing this song, which is his dad's track, when he was singing doing his syncs, playing the role of his dad, his voice and his projection for the parts which he was singing was so it was it would move you. And this was without any editing or any cutting, just the way he was there. So he brought a lot of energy to the set and the parts where we were trying to film, because when he was singing it, he was actually singing it with so much passion that we want to act, we want to be part of that journey. I mean, he's a fantastic guy. I mean, he's very young, and I think he will take off. It's just a matter of time, and it was like I said, it's a blessing to meet him. It's very rare that you get to meet. It's slightly different in this country than it is in India. You seem to find that actually sons of singers in India actually are very talented in their own right as singers, and I don't know how much training Arsh has had, but he just seems to naturally be talented as his dad.
But, looking at that, I mean, although, Kaka Bhaniawala, massive name, massive contribution. I mean, he's a legend when we look at his music and his style of vocals. But at the same time, it's unfortunate when some artists like Kaka Bhaniawala, pass away and, he leaves a family behind. Somehow it just feels like their family doesn't get that kind of a recognition, or it doesn't get bothered, it's a bit one of them things,
Yeah, I think you're right, but I think what it is also, you need to remember that no one grows into, so you may be a great singer, but no one grows into the music industry. In other words, it probably he would have if his father was still around, because those connections will all exist and things. But no one will know that Arsh is a great singer until we turned up, we rocked up to Punjab, and we put them into, Shin and us guys, we put them in a studio. We even recorded another song actually while we were out there, in between the filming. And but when we were out there, no one had this exposure that actually, Kaka's son is just a great singer as he is, because they would never know. We never had that exposure. But when we went out there, now we're giving him that exposure. He's already on the platform to be able to carry on progressing that. And now he's featuring in the Seng Fasseh track. There's exposure there. And then we've recorded some vocals, and then I can't really tell you much about those because there's a little secret going on until we get those songs ready. But there's exposure there for him. And now we're bringing him into the market where otherwise no one would actually recognize. It's like, if same principle, if my dad was a great carpenter or thing, no one's going to ever think I'm great at those things unless someone's actually had exposure to me or someone said it. So, sadly, Kaka didn't have that exposure, Arsh didn't have that exposure. And now I think bringing him out, making sure that he is exposed, someone will most definitely pick him up. But now it's his chance to, because you can only give someone the platform. What they do on the platform is entirely up to them. And now he needs to expose all his great skills and make sure he's out there, and then someone will pick him up and say, well, you know what, I've got a fantastic singer here.
Fabulous. Amazing. I mean, to be honest, I was watching his clips, and his flow of his voice, his way of style, is just almost, it's obvious that he's Kaka Bhaniawala's son, but it's almost like a mirror image,
Yeah, he definitely is. Even to the extent, you put him in the studio, who's in the booth, and they locked Shin out, actually, which was quite funny. Because but that was Shin's own fault, because they were like practicing to do the song. But when Arsh was in the thing, they were like saying, oh, you know what, sing. Like when you say to a singer that, okay, that was fine, but you didn't, this point you weren't projecting or properly, or kitchenikiti in it. And so when you say that to people, singers, if you're not a real great singer, you find it hard to change your style. So, when someone says this little part's wrong, you're going to keep on trying, and it's very difficult. But instantly, when you said to Arsh, Arsh, did I have this part over here? You didn't, kitch on her, and then he'll change the style instantly.
Wow.
Yeah, and you remember, it's very difficult, because what it is, singers say, oh, let me go away and practice a bit, and then I'll come back. And he's like in the booth straight away, bang, change his piece and everything. Obviously there's a few takes where we have to keep saying, no, not like that. But still, the guy has definitely got he's got an amazing skill set, and he's talented in the sense that he can pick up other people's songs written by other people and sing them with a lot of passion. Wow. Which you find difficult in other singers, or many singers. What they do, they'll actually, when I say not mainly Indian singers, Punjabi singers from India are completely different. Breath of fresh air. But you find people over here who, if they pick up someone else's song, they have to completely written by someone else. They'll have to practice it. And I think Arsh just proved that he was completely capable of taking someone's track, only reading it or knowing of it for a minute or so, because we didn't record these ones, but then we'll say, oh, have you heard this song? And all of a sudden, while you're playing, you just want to say, have you heard this song to someone? Yeah. So you say to Arsh, hey, have you heard this song? Next minute, he's singing it, and all the words in his own style, but with a lot of passion behind the words.
Wow.
Yeah. So it shows that he is a true artist, and I just think, it was a complete blessing to meet the guy. But now me and Shin and the team which we have, Deepa, and we got a very strong team together to try and change the concept of videos and music to make it meaningful. And I think this journey, if Arsh becomes part of it, it'll be his warm up, you know. And then there'll be his own, I think he'll get it to his own presence and his own stage through this.
Fantastic. How about that? I'm looking forward to see more stuff coming out from him, because that's what you call real talent, real artist who's got that kind of a passion, that dedication,
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. That's fantastic. Coming back to some interesting part of the show now. I always do some rapid fire questions, right?
Okay, fire away.
Yeah, so I've got a quick look here. So, starting from BMW or Mercedes-Benz?
Mercedes-Benz.
I knew that because I saw that vintage car of yours.
You should have known that coming, yep.
It's a proper fat car though. A vintage Mercedes.
Yeah. So that's a 500 SEC 1986. I have two of them now, actually.
Wow.
I have one in candy blue, which is in the garage getting resprayed out to speak, and I have one in candy apple red. Wow. So a lot of my time actually and passion goes into actually classic cars, or actually this model of classic car. I'm really into it. So yeah, hence my I don't know, when you describe a person, there's a few things that you could put a pinpoint on me, and one is the bodybuilding, music, and cars. So and old cars. I don't really gel with new cars, but old cars seem to do it for me. But Mercedes-Benz all the way.
Yeah, I would say Mercedes-Benz is the khas nishani of Sardar, right? Singhali nishani hai Mercedes-Benz, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, remember, there's one stage, there's a quite funny story which relates to that. When in Southall, I was selling my old 500. I had an old car like this.
Yeah.
And the guy who came, he came from actually Ireland to come and buy it. And he goes, I said, I'll pick you up from the station. And I said, he goes, what car are you in? And I said, you'll see me in a Mercedes, but not my 500. Yeah, it's another one. You see me in my Mercedes. But Jara, I put the phone down, and next minute he calls me back up, and he goes, which one? This Mercedes driving everywhere. Every 5 minutes I'm looking in Southall. He goes, there's a guy with a turban in a Mercedes. And I told him, the instructions there, you'll see a guy with a turban in a Mercedes. I forgot that I was in Southall.
Wow, I mean, that is just phenomenal. That.
Yeah. So, but I got there in the end by beeping my horn and saying, "This is the one you're looking for." Yeah.
I mean, cars, fantastic. I mean, I've got another one now. Desi K or butter?
Desi K, definitely.
Wow.
And the reason being is because actually, I explained the story. I went to India after 20 years.
Yeah.
And not for the video shoot, but just before that. And before that, it was butter. Everything says butter. You go butter chicken, butter blah, butter this, butter that. And you know what? I went to India and I went to eat. And I can't replicate the food over here at all.
Yeah.
And everywhere you go, they say it's secure. And I'm sure it is. But I can't even go to an Indian restaurant over here and say, wow, that was I can say it was an okay dish. But it's probably going to take me a couple of years to shake it off. But, I had such fantastic food in India. And all of the food you do get actually in India, it has the desi ko. You see it floating on the top.
Yeah.
But it's if you truly ask me that question again and you gave me 3 options, it'll be none of those. Because I'm focused on trying to get my body ready for next year to be competing, I have to stay away from all this stuff. But if you're going to hold me down and feed me something, make sure it's secure.
I can't bother. I mean, I have noticed on your social media, you're quite into cooking, aren't you? I mean, a lot of your followers tend to see you're always cooking something. So, I mean, you need to name us a subzi, right? That you never would get bored of.
Okay, definitely. I'll let you guess because you know what's going to come out of our mouth. But it is the traditional. Our recognised dish in Punjab. Come on.
Right. You can't look. There's no doubt. It has to be saag, innit?
Most definitely. You know what? When I used to do my cut for competitions, my mum, she in her back garden, she grows the saag. Grows the palak and she grows saag. And I used to say to her when I'm ready for a competition, I said, Mum, you just do this every 3 days. You just keep on knocking me up pots of this saag, And I used to have, with every meal, I used to eat 9 times a day. I have turkey, asparagus, and I'd have 2 spoons of saag with every meal. And I'll do that 7 days a week. I got a bit bored of trying to eat asparagus. So what I did, I got my mum to actually put the saag, put the asparagus in the saag. Yeah, and believe it or not, it's quite nice actually. But that has been my my number one dish, which I can never get bored of it. If I have it 9 times a day, no problem. You just keep on hitting those greens, man. I love it.
Oh, wicked. Fantastic. I mean, saag itself, when you have a bit of butter in it, makki roti, chopped onion, right? That just sounds fun.
Yeah, definitely. You know what? Like I said before, it is. You go to when I went to India, the second time round, I always made sure I ordered a thali, and everywhere I went, there was always some saag. And I never get bored of it. It was completely, I'm sure that I'm eating too much iron, but...
Well, I mean, your body's become iron anyway, the Iron Man.
Yeah. That's true, but, there's I don't know, I can't say I've had any negative experience from eating so much saag, and I'm telling you, I have been eating, what's the best way to describe it now? You get those. Ben and Jerry's at Tubney, they?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I'll have about 4 of the Ben and Jerry's tubs a day, and I won't have no problem with my digestive system. But people do say you shouldn't eat so much starg, but I don't know. I find it fantastic. I think it's definitely without a doubt. I'm not just saying this because I'm Punjabi or Sikh. Without a doubt, is the best dish I've ever tasted in my life.
I think, so hearing that, it just feels like you're almost the reincarnation of Popeye the Sailor Man, I would say.
Yeah, you're definitely right. I mean, there was the baddie, I can't remember him, that must be Shin. I don't even know his arch rival.
Oh my God. Wow, fantastic. I mean, another question here now. If you were given an opportunity to rewind your life back to a moment you miss, at what part would you rewind it and why?
I would actually like to... Actually, you're really touching on something sentimental here, actually, so you're going to have to forgive me, but I would like to rewind it to probably when my father passed away last year, but we never got on for a while, and as Indian families do, or any family to be quite honest, not just Indian families, we have a bit of a disconnect over silly things.
Yeah.
And if I had a chance, I'd rewind and I'd probably look at things through a different lens and amend those things so there wasn't such a big gap. That's probably the most the thing that comes into my head straight away. But it is what it is, and you know what? So that would be a time where if I could go and repair some things, I'd go back and repair these things.
Wow, that is amazing! Absolutely amazing. That. Wow. Right. So I've got one challenging question now, right? This is I always do some sort of like a question where it just makes you think, right? So I've got a challenging question now where it says, name one thing in the world that has no colour.
One thing in the world that has no colour?
Yeah.
God.
Wow. I didn't get that in my mind because initially I thought, you would have said something like water.
Oh, but water does have colour.
It's transparent, isn't it?
No, it depends where you go. If you get it out of the Thames, it's definitely not. They say water is blue.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't recognise that as the water being transparent because everyone refers to it as the blue water or the blue ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that definitely has no colour. Glass has no colour, but it does, because if you look very closely, it has a greeny tinge.
Yeah.
But really, honest truth is the only thing I can relate to having no colour, no shape, no form, is God. And so believe it or not, I do have a connection with God. Wow. And my connection, I keep it to myself, and I don't tell people what I know and what I learn. I keep my beliefs and my sanctuary with God to myself, and he keeps, I say he, but it might be a she, but God keeps me in a good space. I can't complain. I will tell you, God has really, I keep on saying he, which is wrong, but God has really looked after me in my journey over the past, since I've started bodybuilding, my health and my work and everything. I really can't complain. I've been blessed to even at my age still be going to the gym. I get injuries and I get things, but just to be able to train and compete, it's an opportunity that God's given, and I need to make the most of it. Same thing with the music, same thing with helping. I try and help a lot of youngsters try and change their mindsets to become successful in whatever they want to do. I also change their mentality, try and change their mentality to take some of the old school teachings away, where how you speak to your mum, you say tussi, or you don't say tu, or you don't say "What's up, mum," or like, I find those things as disrespectful.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm old school, but that's how I work, and I think some of those things I try, and when I meet people, they, especially young kids, they like, oh God, look at that thing. He's like, and they instantly get this thing where they look up to me. Yeah, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but because of it, I need to make sure that I represent and teach them the good things and not the bad things. And the good things are, I need to teach them how to behave. I need to teach them how to respect their parents. But also, with that said, I need to teach their parents how to respect them as well, because I don't think a lot of, especially parents in the newer generation, are a bit too. And obviously, you can't always get it right. But I think they don't have that connection with their kids that my parents did, and my mum and dad. I'm stepping on sort of very shady territory here, very thin ice when I say this.
Yeah.
But I looked at my mum and dad not as my friends; they were my guardians and they were my guidance.
Wow.
And I took that away, and I believe that will shape a person to be that way in the future.
Wow. Fabulous. Fantastic. I mean, Malkit, absolute pleasure that we had you on the show today. And I'm hoping the Seng Fasseh track becomes a massive hit as well, because we're all looking forward to this track now. And I mean, tell us whatever message you want to give to your listeners, to the followers of Akash Radio right now. I mean, what message you want to give out to them?
So the message I'd like to give to all the followers actually is always realize there's a few things. There's a few teachings or lessons or whatever you want to call it. Is always look at the opportunities which God gives you, okay, and use them to your advantage. God will only create the opportunities, and the rest of it is down to you. In terms of music, and the thing is, keep on watching Seng Fasseh. A lot of effort's gone to, a lot of work's gone into it. Hopefully we're going to change the dimension of music videos and music. And we've got other projects in the pipeline, and try and experience some of these things. I mean, going away to India for the weekend is unheard of, but you know what? It doesn't mean you can't do it. So these are some of the things where you need to lift your energy levels and get things done. Yeah. I'd like to say thank you, if you don't mind, to Shin, Deepa Rai, Suki, Aman, Surjit Sagar, and all the team. I'm sure I missed a few names, but Arsh and all these guys, Sati, Bani, these people, what they've done to pull it all together for us, and make the journey easier. I can't thank them enough. I mean, they turned my small visions into things which are huge, and never think that something is too difficult to achieve. You just need to get the right people on board, and that's what it's all about. So hopefully we'll be touching base down to Leeds at some point.
Oh, definitely. We need you in the studio next time. I mean, we need you in the studio now,
100%. What we're concentrating on the launch, but as soon as the launch is done, we're going to start hitting a few areas and coming over, and we'll probably have some launch parties. So definitely, as soon as we have those, I'm going to hit you up, and then you can let the people know. They'll know where to meet us. Be prepared though, because you know what, it's a bit difficult to give me a bit of a hug. I'm a big lad. So, so get yourselves in the gym.
Well, what we'll do is, right, because you're tall, wide, right, we'll put there saying free hugs from Malkit Chana, right?
That's it. That's what it's all about. I'm up for all the free hugs. So it's all about, spread the love.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Lovely. Fantastic, man. Absolutely pleasure. And I'm hoping 2020 is going to be a massive one as well, I heard. You've got things lined up for 2020, just around the corner. So
definitely,
yeah.
2020 is a very big year for me, and just for people who don't know, you can look me up, add me on Facebook. Actually, my Facebook profile is probably completely full, but it's Malkit Chana. Wow. And then you can follow me on Insta. Fateh Fitness is the name I go under there. So Fateh Fitness is a whole concept of actually what I want to do was start training and making it. And people said, you go wider. She said, go wider and start training everyone in the UK and make it international, train Gore and Kale. And I said, you know what, I don't want to do that. I just want to look after my own people. So, it was a bit selfish, but Fateh Fitness was all about that. It's driving the concept of Indians, Punjabis, Pakistanis, making sure that they get involved in this fitness frenzy, which is in the UK, and we can do it. We can do it just like everyone else does, and that's what it was about. So I want to create that platform. But next year, I mean, follow the journey. It's going to be big. I'm getting myself ready to compete 4 times next year, and God willing, you know, like I said, I've got a lot of blessings and a lot of opportunities. I'll qualify for 4 finals next year. And just follow the journey, because you'll get a lot of hints and tips. You'll see what I have to go through, not just the shiny side of bodybuilding. You'll see my pains, you'll see my emotions go up and down, and avoid me at any point in time when I don't have carbs, because you know what, I am grumpy. I was a bit grumpy when I got to India, actually, when I met Shin, and he commented on that. But you'll get to learn about all these emotions which you'd go through if you're following a journey like mine as well. And they're all normal, you know, but there's ways to conquer them. So you'll get some of my experience, over the five odd years of competing.
Fantastic. Yeah, about that. I would say absolute pleasure, and hoping the very best for your career. And hoping to see you in the studio next time as well.
Definitely, 100%.
Fantastic. God bless. So hoping the very best, and we'll have you on the show once again next time.
Yeah, but you keep the sag ready. That's all I've got to say.
Oh yeah, I've got the sag ready. The pot of sag is there. I mean, we've got the makki roti. We've got the yatta ready, right? We just need to, put it all together. Make some roti, and we'll get Shin GC as well.
Definitely.
110%.
We'll see you soon, buddy. And lots of love to all the listeners. Thank you.
So that was the live exclusive interview with the man himself, Malkit Chana, also known as Fateh Fitness, talking about his bodybuilding journey, and also talking about the upcoming Punjabi track of this year, 2019, Seng Fasseh, alongside Shin Hayer GC, DDS, Surjit Sagar, Charanjit Channi, Kaka Bhaniawala, and his son Arsh Bhaniawala featured in the video, man. I mean, that is just iconic. I mean, this is historic because the track itself is just featured with the army uniform. I mean, I love the uniform. The army uniform is something what we all love about, right? And they all been featured in the video wearing that. I mean, it's just going to be iconic, man, you know? So I am looking forward to see the video itself. I am looking forward to hear the full track as well, because hearing a bit of the extract, quite an idea of what the track is all about. So, but I am looking forward to the full track when it releases. And yeah, man, it's going to be an absolute pleasure to have them in the studio next time, because, there's a lot to talk about, right? So that was an exclusive interview with Malkit Chana, also known as Fateh Fitness, and I'm going to be back after the short commercial break, because we've got a lot of requests pouring through of some proper UK Bhangra banging tracks. So I'm going to be back after the short commercial break.